Right, good afternoon and welcome back to the channel. Yes, afternoon, not morning for a change. I'll explain why in a minute. The CR's looking pretty sharp, as it has been lately. I've actually put some stuff on the outside tile wall there. I don't know if you can see that, but to shine it, really went crazy. Yeah, it's looking good. Anyway, down the road, I will see you in a moment. Yes, thanks for joining me again, and we're going to go a different way today. I'm not off to the calf this morning. I'm going to going somewhere completely different. Try and find a couple of local beauty spots, but I don't know what they're going to look like. I'm going to explore. I'm going to have a little ride round anyway, so join me. I'll be back with you in just a minute. This is the road that you'll have known a few times that we've been along. As you can see, I'm afraid to say, we've got shed loads of houses being built over there. There you go. Hundreds of homes being built, and of course no infrastructure to support them. Anyway, I'm not going to go on about that. First of all, I'm going to get straight into the RE thing, the Royal Enfield question that I posed on the title. But just before that, just very quickly, a quick thank you to a person who commented. Signal Found 7880 was his name, so I can't call you Michael, John or Bob or anything because I don't know what your name is, but anyway, thank you very much. He commented on the video I made about testing motorcycles, and that perhaps we don't get the most open and honest of tests. Very interesting, because he told me a phrase, explained a phrase which I wasn't aware of. I don't know whether he's done a degree in journalism or something, or it's just something I've missed along the line, but it's called access journalism, and it basically sums up what I was on about. Access journalism. If you're listening to this now and you've got Alexa or whatever by you, just mention it to Alexa and she'll tell you all about it. Access journalism is where journalists rely on access, obviously, to people, whether that be in sport or Hollywood, things like that, and they put the access to these people above the integrity of the journalism. It's an actual thing, and I didn't know that phrase, so thanks very much to you for mentioning that to me. Really interesting. I should have known it would have been a thing, but I didn't know it had a name, but it has. Anyway, that's that subject, and thanks to everyone who commented on the last one. Massively positive, nearly all of it. Chinese bikes and the journalism thing as well. Really appreciate you commenting. Now, I don't want to be controversial on this one, you know me, but this is about Royal Enfield, and it's just something I've noticed. I don't know if it's me. Obviously you've got to be careful when you're watching videos, and we know the algorithms push the same videos, so you tend to get a skewed view of what people are thinking or talking about, because you just get videos on the same subject pushed to you. So you know. But I've tried to look at this, and what I'm thinking and what I'm seeing is that there seems to be a little bit of a more honest approach to Royal Enfield, certainly in the press lately. Less, how can we put it? There was a point when Royal Enfield was a brand that you just couldn't criticise, or if you said anything against online on a YouTube video or anything, you were roundly hammered. I know, because I've had it myself. I wasn't criticising the bikes, but what it did do was sort of bring up the point of value for money. I've always thought that the value for money angle that everyone talks about, I just didn't agree with it. I thought it was exaggerated. And I remember bringing this up a few years ago on a very famous YouTuber's channel, actually, who is a well-known RE fan and anti-Triumph person. And I got roundly smacked around the head by it, really, to be honest. Let me just pull over here for a second and just do a quick 3-point turn. nice little viewpoint here. Let's see if I can get some nice shots from here, because I've never actually stopped here. As you can see, Worcestershire, Trimpley. Let's just have a little look. I've actually got a bench here, so obviously a nice viewpoint. Yeah, it is. What a beautiful view. And doesn't the sea owl look nice with that behind? Lovely. Right, on we go. Right, just do a little spinny round here, and we go past that viewpoint again, and I'll get back onto what I was talking about. Yes, Royal Enfield. As I said, I've noticed a slight change. Quite a few people now are being a little bit more openly critical of the brand. Now, why is this? Well, I think the thing that sparked it is the debacle, I think you can call it, in the UK. This is a bit UK specific right now, but if you're from other countries, I'll explain what happened in the UK as far as Royal Enfield is concerned, and I'll be back more generally speaking about the brand in a minute. But we used to have an importer here called MotoGB, and I've already gone up the road. Look, and somebody's taken advantage of that seat. Weird. Wonder where they came from. Anyway, yes, we used to have an importer called MotoGB, and Royal Enfield decided to sever their contact with them and import the bikes themselves. Fine, they've got every right to do that. It's their bikes at the end of the day, it's their business plan, that's fine, but it's the way they did it that caused the issues. And I won't go into the politics of it, but fundamentally what happened is that it left MotoGB with large stocks of Royal Enfield models that obviously they already own, and they were suddenly jettisoned as being the importers. So they obviously went out looking for new brands to deal with. They already had some other brands. So they've got all these bikes on their hands, and what have they done? Well, I think what they've done is what you would expect them to do. They've heavily discounted the bikes. Their advert shows up to £1,500 off, which is a lot of money on a budget motorcycle. But they've heavily discounted them. The Himalayan now, for instance, is 3,799 from them, brand new, on the road, instead of about 4.5, or however much it should be. So what has this done? Well, first of all, it's peed off all of the dealers, the Royal Enfield dealers, and it's also totally pulled the rug from under the owners of Royal Enfields, whose bikes suddenly now, second-hand value, has gone through the floor. Now, this has been well documented, I won't go on about it, but I think this could be the end of that honeymoon period that a manufacturer gets. The chap that I was talking about, who's a big Royal Enfield fan, who's got a big channel over here, he was sort of atypical of some Royal Enfield fans, that you just couldn't criticise the brand in any way. They were perfect, and the company was perfect, and it was the way motorcycling should be. The bikes were a throwback to the past, and so was the service and quality of the way you were looked after by the company was second to none as well. And I think that was just a bit of a fantasy. At the end of the day, Royal Enfield are a business, and they've got to make money, and they're just like every other business. And just like every other motorcycle manufacturer, their business comes first and their customer comes second to a certain extent. And Royal Enfield are no different in that way. And a lot of us who weren't fanatics of the brand sort of questioned some of the commentary that was being made about the brand early on. But now I'm seeing a lot of videos of people criticising them, not just for the value for money in terms of that, but also for quality issues, So there are quality issues, there's no doubt about it, but I think people are a little bit living in cloud cuckoo land when the bikes first came out. God, it's bumpy up here. But I think that sort of period is over now. People are becoming a bit more realistic. The reason that I personally had a discussion with this chap that I'm talking about wasn't, as I said, it was about value for money. This sort of blind acceptance that they're incredible value for money just because they're cheap to buy. But for me, the point I was making very politely was that value for money runs a little bit deeper than that. Ongoing servicing costs have to be brought into it, and the actual performance of the vehicle, are you comparing like with like? Because often the Royal Enfields were being compared to bikes that were actually more expensive, yeah, but twice as powerful, and were patently better motorcycles. So that was my discussion point that I tried to start, but as I said, the reaction I got wasn't good. It was not good at all. People really jumped on me, and that's fine. Strong opinions, I'm open to that. Yeah, I've been here before actually in one of my other videos. Just wanted to see what it's looking like over here. Haberley Valley Local Nature Reserve. There we are. Home of the adder, the green woodpecker, and the green tiger beetle. Yes, so for me, I think there may be a bit of a sea change. I mean, every manufacturer, everything really gets a bit of a honeymoon period early on in its life, doesn't it? And then that stops for whatever reason, and things tend to go in reverse and swing. The pendulum swings in the opposite direction, and then they're often quite unfairly harassed in the opposite direction. So I'm sort of semi-expecting that to start happening. Royal Enfield makes some cracking motorcycles at a very good price, but value for money, I just don't see it myself. I never have done. I've always thought they are priced accordingly to what they are, which is basic motorcycles with some issues. So there we are. What do you think? Do you think the honeymoon period could be over for Royal Enfield? Have you noticed the same as I have? The amount of people now, as I said, making videos on the problems that they're having with them, longer term mechanical issues, rust, this debacle over the supplier in the UK. Parts are becoming a problem, so I hear. I know of a YouTuber who is waiting on a Speedo, which is a common problem with them, isn't it? The Speedos get damp inside, and you just can't get the parts. It's basically putting the bike off the road. Now this isn't unique to Royal Enfield. There are other brands that have issues, of course. I know Harley Davidson are having some problems as well. But I just feel that the tide's turned just a little bit for the brand, and now they're going to have to battle on a more of an even keel with everyone. I think the other part of what's changed is that their prices have crept up. I don't think there's any doubt about that. When they first appeared in the country, they were set at a certain price, but that price has crept up inevitably over the time. And at the same time, companies like Honda have brought out budget versions, budget bikes, like I always mention the Hornet 750. Not a bike that you can compare in any way to any Royal Enfield, but in terms of value for money, you can. And you're getting a 90 brake horsepower, brand new developed motorcycle from Honda, built in Japan for $6,999. Now, how you can call an Interceptor or any Royal Enfield comparable to that in terms of value for money, I can't see it. I just can't see it. There's no doubt that the big brands are starting to fight back, and that's where the houses are going to be, as you can see. I can't remember how many there's going to be built there now, but it's not inconsiderable number. It's a heck of a lot. So it's going to increase the traffic volume around here. So that's marvellous. I bet the people in these bungalows here that used to look out across the fields are absolutely chuffed. I bet they're rubbing their hands together. If it was me, I'd be having my fists in the air, to be honest. But there you go. It's progress, ladies and gentlemen. It's progress. So there we are. The other person I wanted to mention actually was a channel called Old School ADV Rider. This is a gentleman that lives in Bulgaria. He's an Englishman. He lives in the north. He's got a Himalayan, and he's very honest about his bike. I mentioned him because he had a phrase in one of his videos which I thought was absolutely superb. He said, "I do like fixing and servicing bikes. That's why Royal Enfield are for me." And I thought, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. That is a perfect sort of summing up, really, of the brand. If you do like fiddling with bikes, then they're the ones for you. He's just sold his Honda. He had a Honda NC 750X and a Himalayan. He's just decided to sell the Honda because he said it was just too boring. It's the only word he could come up with. It was too perfect. Faultless, perfect. Didn't need to do anything to it. Never needed to touch it. Never needed to fiddle with it. Just too boring for me. I like to fiddle. And that sort of sums up the two brands, doesn't it, really, in many ways. And I completely understand it. And I think that's partly why the success of Royal Enfield, actually, it does. I don't know what's going on here, but she's stalling her Suzuki Wagon-R. I'm going up this way. Yes. So there we are. Hope you've enjoyed that. Thanks for being with me. Bit of a waffle. I'll be back to normal on the next one once the weather improves a little bit. The reason I haven't been out actually during the morning is because it's foggy and freezing and horrible around here lately. So I just thought I'd come out for a little spin. So that's all. Thanks very much for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye for now.